What is going on, freedom fighters? Welcome back to another Tyranny Response Tuesday here on Break the Chains Media. Today is Tuesday, December the 9th, 2025, and we are going to be getting into all the nitty-gritty, all the interesting stuff. We've got breaking news coming from the Tina Peters situation. We've got the AAG Harmeet Dillon looking into the Colorado prison systems. It's very interesting how it both plays out together. I do want to touch further into the 9-page letter that was released by Tina's attorneys and going over the language in that. Very interesting. We didn't get into a lot as much as I'd like to on last night's stream. So we're going to dive in a little bit further as far as the attorney and Tina Peters case and just kind of get a clear overview of what's really going on and how the federal government is approaching Colorado and their overt communist ways. So we're going to get into all of that. I also want to talk about, we got amazing news here in Colorado as far as we have a new U.S. Senator race that's happening, and it's one of your beloved and favorite senators of the state Senate here in Colorado. Senadora Gonzalez has announced her campaign against Hickenlooper, against the current sitting member of the U.S. Senate right now, John Hickenlooper, and she's running against him. And we're going to get into the details as we're seeing this on a grand scale. We saw the Mondami race in New York City. We see how Minnesota and the mayoral races in Minnesota are playing out. We are seeing a split in the Democrat Party where we're talking about progressive leftists and moderate Democrats. So we're going to have a whole conversation on this, and it's happening right here, right now. What is going on, Salty Girl? Appreciate you raiding the stream. Thank you for jumping in. Let's go. You get a treasure chest. Y'all get a treasure chest. Thanks for coming in here, my man. But yeah, we're gonna get into Senadora Gonzalez. We're gonna talk about her track record here as a Colorado state senator and the kind of bills that she passed and her just blatant disregard, flagrant disregard for how Colorado's future and the prospects of Colorado's citizens and what we are actually wanting from state representatives, from state senators, and the kind of just brazen disregard and rude and almost childlike behavior, how she ran her judiciary hearings. So we're going to get into all of that. And then we are also going to touch base further on this natural gas ban that's happening in Colorado, where it's shifting into the 41% reduction by 2035, the 100% reduction by 2050, and how apparently the Xcel Energy and the PUCs here in Colorado, Governor Polis, and everyone involved in this green new scam, this green new energy bullshit, tells you how to heat your home. They are saying to you right now, you do it our way, and if you don't do it, screw you. You might as well freeze. Because they want us to have electric heat pumps, and it's absolutely ridiculous. It's insane. They're already sending propaganda in the mail, and actually, I might have to go grab that. I wanted to go grab that before the live stream. I totally spaced it, but I got a piece of propaganda in the mail from Xcel Energy, explaining what a electric heat pump is and how it's so much more effective for your home, especially during the winter months, and how electric heat pumps are actually really good for Colorado winters. I call bullshit, man. It's simple science. You pipe the natural gas into the home, you light the fire in the house, and the fire warms the house. Pretty simple, pretty straightforward. What is up? I appreciate the raid. Salty Grower, what is going on? Smash that thumbs up button and let's get a repost. Thanks, man. Thank you. Terpene Fields 07. Let's go. That's exactly right. And that's what I was going to get into. Our grid can't handle it. And don't get me wrong. I think that there's intelligent ways and we have the technology now to allow for a advanced power grid that allows for cleaner energy production that does not necessarily dictate that we should be eliminating natural gas. We need to have a hybrid system for an unregulated hybrid system. My bottom line is I don't want the government telling me how to heat and operate my home. And they're creating a monopoly. They're creating an industrial energy grid monopoly. And if they're going to tell us that we cannot use natural gas, they can go shove off. Take a long walk off a short pier. Mecha X the Mystery Gamer. What is up, my man? Bro, as a Californian, I apologize for how people moving from California is fucking up other states and everyone. It sucks. I appreciate the sentiment. I appreciate the concern. However, I think it's more than just the California transplants. It's more than just the Texas transplants. All these libtardian transplants that come into this state that fuck up the state. Our state has been infiltrated since the early 2000s by Governor Polis. Now, at the time, he obviously wasn't a governor, but he came in here with Pat Stryker and the Gang of Four. So him, Pat Stryker, and two others, I always forget their fucking names. But these four people came in the early 2000s with millions and millions of dollars, and they totally reworked how Colorado politics work. They worked with unions, they worked with NGOs, they started putting people in administrative positions, and they started putting legislators in these positions, in these offices, passing laws that curtail and curb what Colorado used to be. Colorado used to be an open, red, gun-toting America, wild western state. That is what the ideal version of Colorado used to be. Now it's a liberal hellhole enclave. It's the retarded sister to Washington State. It's the retarded sibling to Seattle. Denver is like Seattle, except it's just constantly stoned, and there's fentanyl, drugs on the street. You name it. We're gonna get into all of that. But folks, if you haven't yet, hit that subscribe button, smash the thumbs up, share this with your friends and family, because I talk about all things Colorado related, politics, news, culture. We tie in some national information. We always bring it back home to Colorado, because the most important thing you can do is get involved in your communities, talk to your city and state council members, talk to your city council, talk to all these people, get involved, because if you see the decay and if you see the corruption that's happening around you everywhere you look, you need to get active. You need to get involved. And I make these videos. I try to put my name out there, try to put my information out there, so people can get a little bit sense of understanding and know that you're not alone. You're not alone in this fight, because we are fighting, and I'm not giving up. We got 1 year till the midterms. We've got a lot of work to do, and I'm hoping to stave off the communist creep. So, with that being said, folks, check out breakthechains.media. That is the website. That is the landing page here. If you wanted to pick up a bottle of hot sauce, Realm Walker hot sauce, I highly recommend. I make this, I bottle it, I make it, I grow all the peppers myself, travel the 9 realms of Norse mythology through hot sauce. Pick up a bottle today for your Christmas gifts, or for, any friends and family member. From mild to extreme heat, we got all the flavors here. I've got Niflheim, which is jalapeno, tomatillo, cilantro, lime. Midgard is serrano, tomatillo, lime. It's kind of like a green Tabasco. And then you also got Muspelheim, which is red super hot, and roasted red peppers, one of my favorites. And then you've got Ragnarok. I got that one coming too. Smoked chocolate, super hot peppers, apocalypse peppers, and green chilies. It's like the Tabasco's chipotle flavor, except it's way hotter and way smokier and way better, in my opinion. Maybe I'm a little biased. I don't know. But yes. And then we always got to represent the Chainsaw Caucus. Rev up them chainsaws. Rev them up. Rev them up. Because the Chainsaw Caucus is coming at you, trying to curb the bureaucracy, the bloat, the fiscal irresponsibility of these government officials, of these elected members in office who do not represent the will of the people, who spend our money, who are fiscally irresponsible. It is inspired by the Javier Milei's Afuera movement from Argentina. So, with that being said, you can check out the Chainsaw Caucus. There's a pinned link in the description of this live stream in the description below. You can click on that. It sends you right over to the donation page. For $10 a month, you can click on my referral link, or you can click on, like I said, the description down below. $10 a month helps out Chainsaw Caucus, and it also helps out the stream at Break the Chains Media. But without further ado, we are jumping right into it, folks. What is going on? Thank you, everyone in the stream. Thank you, everyone in the chat. But let's get into it. So I wanted to touch base. I wanted to start with the big news of the day. Heads up, Colorado. Heads up, Colorado. This is actually, it's going to be interesting how this all plays out. But heads up, Colorado. Wow. Let me take a beat. Harmeet Dillon and the Civil Rights has opened an investigation into the Colorado prison system. Multiple reports of unconstitutional and legally insufficient carceral conditions. Prisoners have civil rights. Here's to hoping that this ties in with the federal case against Tina Peters and how we can actually get justice with the Tina Peters. Whatever's happening with Tina Peters, this might be a precursor into how we make sure that Tina Peters is under at least federal protection, and at least maybe we can get a transfer into another facility, because from what it sounds like, from what the news has been reporting, her health has been declining. She's been constantly getting harassed in the prison that she's down in Pueblo. And for lack of better terms, it's not looking good for Tina in that prison down there. So maybe this will have some legs to run when it comes to getting Tina Peters out. So, this is from the Civil Rights Division of the U.S. Department of Justice. I do have the website pulled up as well, but we're going to read it right here. Investigation of Colorado Department of Corrections, Department of Youth Services. Dear Governor Polis, I write to inform you that the United States Department of Justice is commencing an investigation of the 21 Colorado Department of Corrections facilities and the 12 residential youth centers operated by Colorado Department of Human Services, Department of Youth Services. The department will conduct this investigation under Civil Rights Institutionalized Persons Act, and then it gives you the U.S. Code, Violent Control and Law Enforcement Act, and Religious Land Use Institutionalized Persons Act of 2000. So it gives you the legal rundown, the legal jargon there. During these investigations, the department will determine whether Colorado engages in a pattern or practice of violating the constitutional rights of prisoners held at DOC facilities by failing to provide adequate medical care and safe sanitary physical conditions of confinement, and whether Colorado violates the right of detainees by failing to protect youth in DYS facilities from use of excessive force and failing to provide adequate nutrition to detainees. The department will also consider whether Colorado violates prisoners and detainees' rights to free exercise of religion by housing biological males in units designed for females. Boom! Full send, folks. Let's see what's going to happen here, because this might have some legs to run, folks. This might actually have some legs to run in the efforts to hopefully get Tina Peters at least in a safer environment, right? Because the larger conversation with Tina Peters, obviously, we understand that the Department of Corrections here in Colorado has been, for lack of better terms, not treating her very well. And the DOJ and the federal government has been trying to basically ask and very effectively try to get Tina Peters into federal custody because of the conditions in the prison system. So this might be a great way for them to get in there. What is going on? Appreciate everyone in the chat. Liana 17, thanks for stopping in. Appreciate you. Thank you. You get a treasure chest. You get a treasure chest just for coming in. That's what we do here. But yeah, so we got the article here. It's really going to be interesting because it actually goes further into where did I have it here? From the Denver Post. So it's going to read it from the Denver Post. From the Denver Post, the DOJ is investigating whether Colorado prisons and youth detention centers violate inmates' rights. And we're going to give basically a quick overview. What I would like to see out of this is some real reform when it comes to the state of corruption that's happening in Colorado. Because it's not just the judiciary branch in Colorado that's corrupt. It's not just the legislative branch that's corrupt. It's not just the executive branch that's corrupt. It's almost every and all facet of government institutions within the state of Colorado has been co-opted and subverted by leftist progressives who want to use these facilities and use their agenda and project their agenda through these administrative realms, right? That is the problem. And if you haven't been aware of it, well, welcome to Colorado, folks, because we've been a testing ground for the leftist progressive agenda for the better part of 2, if not 3 decades. And a lot of people aren't aware that Colorado is the capital 2.0. So when you think about the East Coast and the fact that for many, many years they have been building out infrastructure here in Colorado, whether it's been DIA, whether it's been federal operations in Colorado Springs, whether it's been it's very centrally located. It's in the middle of the country, and it is been co-opted and taken over by a leftist progressive enclave that has totally taken over what it means and how Colorado governs. So that is the biggest problem that we have here. Let's take a look here. I wanted to see, there was something specific. Yeah, we're going to read from right here. Yeah. Justice Department, in a letter to Governor Polis, dated Monday, said the investigation will center on whether prisoners of the Department of Corrections 20 facilities are being adequately provided medical care and safe sanitary conditions. Investigators will also seek to determine whether Colorado fails to protect youth in the state's 12 detention and confinement centers from excessive force. Finally, this is a good one, folks. This is the good one. Finally, the probe will take aim at the state's policy surrounding the incarceration of transgender inmates, investigating whether the Department of Corrections violates prisoners and detainees' rights to free exercise of religion by housing biological males in units designated for females, the agency said in its letter to the governor. A Polis spokesperson could not be reached immediately for comment. Oh, you don't say. Sounds par for the course. The Justice Department announced it comes on the heels... Wow. Ready? Are we ready? The Justice Department announced... The Justice Department announcement comes on the heels of Colorado's officials denying President Trump's request to remove former Mesa County Clerk Tina Peters from state facility to a federal prison. A federal court on Monday denied Peters' latest request to leave prison. She's serving a 9-year sentence on election-related charges. We are going to get into that because they did deny her a writ of habeas corpus. I'm going to touch base on that really quick after this, but yes, it's all tied together, folks. There's so many legal angles that they're trying to take with this, and not trying to get too deep into the attorney angle and this Peter Tickton and what's happening with the Tickton Law Group. And I personally believe that that Tina Peters' attorneys are kind of shit in the bed when it comes to the proper methods of grievance against her state crimes. Because they are state crimes, but they continuously bring up this 2020 election interference charges. Totally valid. It's totally valid, and it actually means something when we're talking about the 2020 election, because there's a larger conversation to be had about the rigging of the 2020 election and how the election was fabricated and how for many years our elections have been compromised through electronic voting systems. However, the crimes that were brought against Tina Peters were solely specifically listed as state crimes, and they made sure that the scope was extremely limited so that they could prosecute her on state charges, not associating with the 2020 election. And the problem that I see is that the law firm and the attorneys for Tina Peters keeps referring back to the larger federal conversation and the federal question over the elections, which is a conversation to be had, but it has no basis and grounds when it comes to the Tina Peters case in particular. If they're trying to fight for a reduced sentence, if they're trying to help Tina Peters' expedited process through her sentencings, continually talking about the election and the 2020 election on a federal level is not the proper angle. That's my opinion. That's my 2 cents. Sherry, what is going on? Appreciate you jumping in the stream. Howdy, indeed. You get a treasure chest too. Every time someone comes in, I feel like Oprah Winfrey because I'm giving people treasure chests, folks. That's what we do. That's what we do here. All right, let's keep going. Trump has repeatedly called for Peters' release, and a senior Justice Department official has said he's working to free her. After Colorado officials rejected the Federal Bureau of Prisons transfer request last month, the president called Polis a sleazebag. Where's the lie? Where's the lie? And said Peters had been unfairly convicted. Peters' attorney in court filings have said her health has declined during her time in the Colorado prisons, and it's not clear whether the Justice Department focuses on medical care in Colorado prisons is related to Peters. She is not mentioned in the agency's letter to Polis or its news release announcing the probe. Of course not, because this is the angle, folks. They're going around the elephant in the room, folks. The elephant in the room is Tina Peters and the election interference and this whole larger conversation, but they need to be precise. They need to be laser focused on specific, lawful, federally backed efforts to hopefully get her into federal custody. And I think this health angle, and I think this investigation into the conditions of the Colorado Bureau of Prisons is that exact angle. You have to focus on something that's not the big red. We don't want to deter from what can actually be tangibly grabbed, right? We want to see movement. We want to see actionable things get actually done, right? We want to see progress. And if we keep getting stonewalled every time we bring up election interference and all this other stuff, that is part of the problem. We got to go around the elephant in the room. We got to laser focus in on specific issues, and this health issue related to the Department of Corrections in Colorado is exactly that. The government investigation all follows the Denver Post reporting on the conditions on the state juvenile detention facilities. So the Denver Post has been reporting on this too. Last month, 10 parents told the Post that their kids were losing concerning amounts of weight at the youthful offender system in facility in Pueblo due to a lack of food. One individual, a 22-year-old, was hospitalized after going to renal failure due to malnourishment. So this has evidence, folks. There is a track record of, and they bring up Pueblo. It's in Pueblo. Tina Peters is in Pueblo. So this county, this whatever's down there in Pueblo, whoever's running the show down there in Pueblo, might be, for lack of better terms, fucked. If they're not doing the right thing, if they're not operating these prison systems right, and the Department of Justice comes in, and the civil rights institution comes in, and they actually find some malpractice, there's going to be a good grounds to get Tina Peters out of there and make sure that all these other individuals who are not being properly taken care of get what they need. So good for them. Good on them, man. Excellent. I'm all about that. So yeah, that is kind of what we're doing with that. You know, we're going with that. So what is going on, Seth Sparky? Welcome to the chat. Welcome to the chat. Tyranny Response Tuesday. Let's go. Let's go. Light them up, folks. First time in the stream. First time in the chat. Hit that thumbs up button. Subscribe to this channel if you're on YouTube. Follow me on Rumble, on X at Break the Chains M. I do a lot of shit posting on X. I actually have some pretty good articles. I've been getting pretty good traction here. But where are we going next, folks? Where do we want to go next? Let's see here. Yeah, we are going to get into that too, Seth. Natural gas is the cleanest and most efficient way to heat and air and water. The plan to remove gas as an option is all about controlling people through smart grid technology. Exactly right. We are going to get into that because that is the agenda, folks. It is Agenda 2030. It is World Economic Forum 17 Sustainable Development Goals. So that is the larger picture that's being played with this energy grid infrastructure. Hey, hell yeah, man. Mecha X, the mystery gamer. That's my kind of guy. That's what we're talking about. Got a like and a repost for me, too. Seems hella chill, bro. Thank you, man. Appreciate that. All right, let's keep moving, folks. So, we want to talk about Senadora Gonzalez. We want to talk about Senadora Gonzalez and the progressive left running campaigns against Hickenlooper, because that is the next thing on the docket. We are going to be jumping in, but I just want to do a quick little roll, because I know we were talking about Tina Peters. I don't want to keep rambling on about Tina Peters because, folks, you know me, and if you've been in the stream before, I got a lot to say about Tina Peters. I got a lot to say about the election interference, the whole Venezuela, Smartmatic, Dominion systems, electronic voting machines. There is corruption. There is evil that is being operated within our systems. This is from the attorneys, and I did briefly touch on this yesterday. Spirit 10101, whatever those numbers are. Thank you. Go Corey, rock and roll. Thank you. Appreciate you jumping in, my man. But yeah, this has got, I don't know, 9,000 views, 450 likes. Pretty good. I've done better, but it's pretty good. So I posted on this. Tina Peters' attorney submitted a formal pardon request for Trump. Based on the evidence and precedent set in her case, a presidential pardon for state charges stemmed from federal duties should be on the conversation, right? Should be in the conversation. And this does set a precedent because there hasn't been a precedent set, right? So if we are going to talk about a federally obligated duty and state charges, this could set a federal precedent to institute a federal pardon. So I don't want to get too deep into it, but it's a nine-page letter from Tina Peters' attorney, the Ticton Law Group, and it goes into the whole conversation. I mean, he rips right into it, talking about Dominion and Secretary of State Jenna Griswold deleting data, trusted build, and while I completely see their angle, while I completely validate that is an argument to be had, that is a conversation that we need to have, that is not the angle you should be going about if you're trying to get Tina Peters' sentence reduced or a more favorable treatment by the Colorado judicial system, because the crimes that Tina Peters was sentenced to was state crimes, specifically talking about impersonation and manipulating of electronic machines, has nothing to do with falsifying this, that, and the other. Like, when they get into this whole other conversation about the 2020 election, when you get into all that, that's when they start losing standing, and they don't have material claims to the crimes that were committed and sentenced by the state. So we're in an interesting place, right? Because they talk about this goes off about the Venezuelan general and talks about Howie's evidence about Smartmatic. Everything that I've been saying. In 2006, numerous Venezuelans working for Smartmatic were deployed into the United States, given visas, began modifying the Sequoia brand election equipment in Chicago. There's so much that goes into this. And it's a lot of fluff. It's really a lot of fluff. And I don't know if this is the proper angle for them to be trying to get Tina Peters' favorable treatment or expedited treatment in the Colorado systems, right? Talking about the copy of the 2020 data. And it's interesting because in Elbert County, another county clerk was able to pull the election data, and he's not arrested. Okay? He asked, apparently our conversation goes that he asked Jenna Griswold to preserve the data. The county clerk in Elbert County essentially did the same thing that Tina Peters did by pulling the election data off of the machines prior to the trusted build. The only difference is, and I think there's a larger conversation to be had as far as a frame job, as far as a political scapegoat, Tina Peters was kind of framed into this position because they took the data from the Mesa County election information, and once they pulled that data, they actually did make it public. And therein lies these legal hang-ups, and when you can validate crimes against Tina Peters, right? And if they're going to publicly show private election information, when they did that symposium with Mike Lindell and all these other people, Conan Hayes was there. A lot of interesting people were there. Patrick Byrne was there too, I believe. But there's a lot of people. There's a lot of moving parts, and I do think that there's I don't want to I'm still trying to really hash it all out, but there is a level of corruption so far, so deep in this entire Tina Peters case, and it really bothers me. And it's almost like I have to do a full deep dive, a full video just on this. And maybe it's not a live stream. Maybe I compile some information on it. But there is so much. And I could go on forever. But that is not the focus of this live stream. Because we are going to be shifting gears to Senadora Gonzalez. Because like I said, I could keep rapping on this. Actually, what I want to do is I want to do this. Add to my highlights. That way I have it for later so I can make a video about it just for you. And the best thing about following Break the Chains Media is not just the live streams. Because the live streams, we can actually have a conversation. We can have a good time. You're here with me right here, right now. But when I make the shorter videos, when I make like a 10, 15-minute video, 5-minute videos on a specific topic, those are the hard-hitting videos. Those are the ones you can send out and share to your friends. And single issue, clean-cut conversations that's not a big-ass hour-and-a-half live stream. Because y'all know I can talk your fucking ear off. But I want to make sure for all the newcomers, if you want a clean, concise piece of information, want to make sure you guys get that, right? That is what the goal is. That is what we were trying to achieve here, making sure that the information I put out is quick, easily digestible, and you can share it with friends and family. Let's go here. Where else? So this is the Rocky Mountain Voice. So that, yeah, I have that. So we're gonna talk about Senadora Gonzalez, because she is, look at that face. How can you hate that? What a beautiful, what a brave and beautiful woman this is. She's so strong, and she stands in her truth. She stands in her conviction. She is just a model example of what it means to be a real representative for Colorado. Senadora Gonzalez. Fucking hate the way she says that shit every single time. It's annoying as all hell. So what I'm going to do is as much as I don't want to, I will play you her, oh my God, stop. I will play you, this is her campaign video, her announcement of her U.S. Senate. Hold on. You know, folks, just a PSA. If you're addicted to nicotine, fuck, it is hard to stop, my man. It is hard. It's been a long road. Nicotine's a hell of a drug. Who else are my zinners out there? Anyone else zinning out there? Because holy shit. All right. Anyways, moving right along. All right. Senadora Julie Gonzalez. I'm running for U.S. Senate so the people who built Colorado can take back control of our healthcare, our homes, and our futures. Working people built Colorado. We deserve a government that finally works for us. Senadora Julie Gonzalez is running for U.S. state. Wow. Senadora Julie Gonzalez has announced her campaign for U.S. Colorado Senate seat against Senator John Hickenlooper. So it's going to be interesting how these two sides of the same party are going to be competing to see who's actually going to win. Let's take a look at her campaign video. Just a forewarning, folks, it's not for the faint of heart, and someone needs to save that horse.
Take one look around and ask, who's in control? Insurance companies dictate our doctors. Rogue, masked agents decide whether our neighbors stay or disappear. The establishment, the oligarchs, they tell us that they have enough for bombs and for ballrooms, but that they ain't got enough for us. I'm Julie Gonzalez, and I'm running for the U.S. Senate to take back control for us. At the state capitol, I brought in $500 million for affordable housing, held toxic polluters to account. We codified abortion protections into state law. But what are we getting out of Washington? John Hickenlooper has been in office for over 20 years. I know we're not fooled by his so-called common sense approach, because there is no sense in voting for Donald Trump's nominees or parading across the country to tell us we don't want universal health care when millions of families are struggling to make ends meet every month. This go-along to get-along politics is robbing us blind, while billionaires and the politicians they control sit pretty with the status quo. You want to buy a house? Good luck. You want to start a family? How much money you got in your bank account? That's how the establishment has rigged our economy. Colorado, we can have nice things. We just need a senadora who will fight for us. Our campaign is built to take on the machine and win.
Oh my God, I'm sorry this is taking so long.
Right here, right now. building a movement that is ready to rip the reins away from the billionaires and put them back into the hands of the people. I'm Julie Gonzalez, and it's time to take back control for Colorado.
My God, I'm sorry. That was like 2 minutes too long, folks. I'm sorry, but we had to preface that. We had to paint a picture, right? So this is Julie Gonzalez. She's a current she is a current state senator here in Colorado, and she is arguably one of the worst. She is a cultural Marxist. She's a former DSA member because she let her membership lapse. And we're going to get into that because Kyle Clark actually, for one thing, Kyle Clark actually did a good thing, and he interviewed Julie Gonzalez, and he asked her twice about her Democrat Socialist of America affiliation. And in 2018, Julie Gonzalez worked with the Democrat Socialists of America, and she ran with the Democrat Socialists of America, and she became a state senator with that enterprise, worked with them, door knocked with them. She is a socialist. She is a radical left progressive socialist, and she promotes cultural Marxism to the people of Colorado. And we're going to pull up the bills, and we're going to pull up what she's done and how she's thrown money around and how she's enriched her own benefit, her own personal interests in the state of Colorado. But folks, I'm telling you right now, like, where is it? This poor horse. My God. Somebody save that horse. That is a screen grab right there. Folks, screen grab that because I ain't never seen Jabba the Hutt riding on an animal just like that. It's very top heavy. That horse, is the back breaking? Poor girl. Oh my gosh. Like, wow. We actually let this happen? And then she panders to this lowrider shit. Like, and then she... Folks, one of the things that really bothers me the most about accents in general, any accent, but more often than not, I hear it more often than not here in Colorado, when they turn off and on their Spanish accent. Senadora Gonzalez. Like, when you're ordering some fajitas at a Mexican restaurant, at your local Mexican restaurant, I'll have the fajitas and a Pepsi Cola. It reminds me of the scene from Wayne's World when they're ordering the Chinese food, right? He's sitting there on the phone with making the order with the Chinese food. Ding dong sao, ya bing tao, Pepsi Cola, Mountain Dew, ding dong hua, right? That's the kind of shit. It's just cringy, folks. And I know she's Hispanic and she flouts that, but this is the Democrat angle. They always like to pander to their audience, right? They always like to pander their base. So, enough of that video because I couldn't take another moment of it. But Path of Most Resistance posted here, and we're going to get into a couple other great videos here too. Colorado's worst of the worst is going after Hickenlooper with one of the most communistic and racist individuals that the Colorado Dems have to offer. Híjole! The white fragility I've had to navigate today. That's the kind of posts that Senadora Gonzalez decides to post. Okay? And then let's go up here. So we got the Colorado gun ban, as you know, talking about the Colorado gun ban from Scott Shamblin. Let's take a listen.
I'd like to begin as we. I want to start there.
Yeah. So Scott just made a whole spoof reel of her just mumbling and stammering on, but Julie Gonzalez is one of the proponents of the most restrictive gun bans in the country. She also wanted to reduce pedophile sentences, and she also wanted to they codified abortion into law. Let's take a listen from Free State Colorado. Brandon's doing an excellent job. Highly recommend following Free State Colorado if you're not already. But from Free State Colorado, let's take a listen here
of this
to this spot right here that I wanted to show up.
But yeah, she's still down there causing some serious trouble for us. looking at her record, probably one of the biggest black marks that people might know Julie Gonzalez from is all her floor speeches from the well on Senate Bill 3, the worst anti-gun bill in Colorado history.
Yep.
Total ban on the purchase of firearms unless you pay for expensive classes, get expensive permits, go through all of this type of rigmarole and get government permission slip in order to exercise your Second Amendment rights. So, of course, don't need to go into Senate Bill 3 too much because if you're watching this, you're probably pretty familiar. But Julie Gonzalez was one of the names on that bill, and proudly so.
Yep.
But tell us a little bit, Val, about a bill maybe people haven't heard of, Senate Bill 183.
183 is
this past summer there was a push for a ballot measure to put abortion rights into our Constitution.
Codified it into law.
Much of the pushback from freedom-minded individuals was, well, we're concerned that our taxpayer dollars are going to go to fund abortions.
You want that kind of shit?
Over and
we
over
fought
again.
for it. We tried to fight.
That's not what's happening. That's not going to happen. Well, if this bill passes, that is what's going to happen.
And it did pass.
Is that your taxpayer dollars, you will have no control over it, will go to fund state-funded abortions.
Yep. And on top of that, she also worked with SB 25-005. She co-sponsored a bill that will rob Colorado workers of more of their paychecks and reward union bosses. Julie also voted for an anti-alcohol license bill, HB 25-1093, which attacks home rule and forces high-density housing on communities that don't want it. Okay? There's a laundry list of bad bills that Senator Gonzalez just has supported and put her name on. Okay? Absolutely disgusting. Let's take a look down here. We got a couple more things to look at in this thread. Where is it? Did I already pass it? Oh yeah, we're gonna as tough as it is to watch Kyle Clark, this is actually a really good clip, folks. So we're gonna dive into this. Kyle Clark interviews Julie Gonzalez, and she drops her when she dropped her campaign, and he asks her straight up about her ties to the Democrat Socialists of America here in Colorado. So let's take a listen.
How do you describe yourself politically?
I describe myself as an organizer turned senadora.
Are you a Democratic Socialist?
When I ran in 2018, I was really inspired by the way that DSA was organizing young people in a way that I thought was exciting and compelling. I signed up as a member back then, and I actually got elected. With thanks to DSA's endorsement, all of the doors that those volunteers came and knocked on my behalf. I'm no longer a member. My membership has lapsed.
Why is that?
Because I've been doing the work at the Capitol, and I don't go to the organizing meetings, and I don't think that it's right to be a member, a card-carrying member of an organization that you don't actually show up to the meetings for.
I guess I'm not so much patting you down for a membership card. I'm asking, like in your head, philosophically, are you a Democratic Socialist?
I am a Democrat.
How do you describe yourself politically?
I describe myself as an organizer.
They kind of cut it interesting right there, because she just said, "I am a Democrat," and then it cuts. So I'd like to see the full clip without editing, but he grills her twice about asking her party affiliation with the Democrat Socialists, and we're going to go further down here. And he's going to ask the question regarding Senator Hickenlooper and why she's running against Hickenlooper, who's already a Democrat. Hickenlooper is already terrible in his own regard. If we all think Hickenlooper's bad, imagine that plus communism, like overt communism. Let's check it out, folks. Let's take a listen.
I believe that Colorado cannot afford another 6 years of poll-tested, go-along-to-get-along politics, particularly when we are witnessing this MAGA extremism going and causing such havoc on Coloradans' daily lives.
I want to ask you a question about that. That idea that Senator Hickenlooper's views are poll-tested views. You don't think his views are genuine?
I think that you'd have to ask him. What I do think, though, is earlier this year.
But you're painting a picture as if his views are insincere as opposed to just different from yours, right? Is it possible that he's just a centrist Democrat and you're a progressive Democrat, and that he is as sincere about his views as you are about yours?
In the conversations I've had with him directly, where when I have spoken to him about the issues that Latinos and working class Coloradans from across the state have, he has told me directly, well, work hard, be nice, and never give up. That to me is not a demonstration of meeting this moment.
Okay, well that's a non-answer. Honestly, that's a non-answer. She's not even explaining the fact of why she's running against Hickenlooper. Like, why is she running against Hickenlooper? Because the Democrats are playing their progressive left card right now. They're pushing extreme leftist ideology and extreme leftist elected officials into our higher offices because they want this cultural Marxist takeover. They want cultural Marxism here in America, and Julie Gonzalez is a clear defined example of what a elected official that represents cultural Marxism and socialist party practice is. Hickenlooper, as much as I hate Hickenlooper, I'd take Hickenlooper over a fucking Democrat socialist. Even though her membership for the DSA lapsed, does that suddenly not make you a DSA member anymore because you no longer have a card or you no longer, quote unquote, affiliated with the group? Bullshit. She thinks party affiliation is as easily to change as gender. This is how deranged, this is how mental they are. They think that these people just are gonna just swallow it, take it for what it is. That's what she expects Colorado residents to do. Because she's a Democrat, just vote blue no matter who, that's what they're gonna do. But it's interesting because she's not just running against Republicans, she's running against a moderate Democrat. Let's take a listen. This next clip. I haven't listened to this one yet. So, Kyle Clark says Senator Hickenlooper touts the centrism as a way to compromise. Gonzalez said she would do more than just sit around with the corporate lobbyists and the folks who are wealthy enough to pay for the representation. But see, she's playing that Zohar Mandami angle. She is the Colorado version of a Zohar Mandami when it comes to running against moderate Democrats and offering socialist solutions to these young, low education voters who just want free shit, who want free things, who want the government to tout and flout and manage their entire existence. That's what Senator Gonzalez wants. And she can just take a long walk off a short pier because we don't need that in Colorado.
If Senator Hickenlooper were here, he would say that he's based his entire political career on this idea of finding compromise. Bring people together who disagree on things, you find compromise, and it aligns well with his centrist politics. What's the harm in finding compromise, especially in the U.S. Senate, which is a body that is built on deliberation and compromise?
It is a question of who's in the room when those compromises.
I gotta chime in because this is something that Senator Gonzalez has never had to do in Colorado. In the course of her entire elected career here in Colorado, she has never once had to make compromises or meet in the middle or shake hands with the opposing party because Colorado has been run by Democrats in whether it's a supermajority or a simple majority, but every single election cycle here in Colorado has been a progressive left landslide. And she's never once had to worry about her bills not passing because every single session in Colorado, all of her bills that she co-sponsors and works for gets passed, slightly amended or tweaked here and there because of the pushback that citizens like myself and others do. However, the bills still get rammed through and passed and signed. So she's never once had to actually compromise here in Colorado. The fucking Marxist.
Are being sought and being negotiated. I've dedicated my career to organizing people who oftentimes don't have seats at the table where those decisions are being made and hammered out. I'm talking renters, I'm talking teachers, I'm talking working people, youth, right?
Okay, every person she just listed off, associated with unions, associated with NGOs, associated with kickbacks. So if she's gonna be calling out Hickenlooper and his lobbyist deals, she might not be a quote unquote lobbyist, or she might be not getting lobbying efforts from outside interests, but she is working hand in hand intimately with groups, NGOs, unions, and building housing authorities to make their own deals in their own way. It's just a rebrand of the same bullshit. It's cycling and circling back, giving them their handouts, giving them kickbacks. She's working for them in government. Do you want that? I don't want that. Let's keep going.
And when you actually center those folks in your politics, it turns out that the partisanship starts to fall away. Because if you are a young person, I don't care if you live in Denver or in Durango, your experience of access within these decision-making tables feels so far removed. But when you center those folks, you can actually, it might take a little bit longer, but you can actually achieve far more than if you just sit around with the corporate lobbyists and the folks who are wealthy enough to pay for representation at those.
Oh my God! I'm sorry. I thought I rambled on about a lot of dumb shit, but this one, someone put a fucking sock in her mouth, shove a boot in it, and throw it off the fucking boat, because this bitch can't shut up, and she ain't making fucking sense. She's just rambling on about the youth and this and that and this. What the fuck are you even saying? What's even, like, why? Make a point. Make your point in 10 seconds or less. If you can't fucking do it, shut the fuck up. Sorry. Jesus. Gandalf, what do you got to say to Julie Gonzalez?
You shall not pass!
He's not wrong, folks. He's not wrong. We'll watch his last one. It's pretty short. Yes. That's exactly it, Salty. That's exactly it. She's just using the buzzwords. She's going very hard on that Mandami angle, where he says a lot of fluff, says a lot of stuff, says a lot of things that young people are going to want to hear. But when the rubber hits the road, when the government actually starts doing the work, it's not as attainable and it's not as achievable as she makes it out to be. So let's listen to this last clip here from Kyle Clark. I'm obviously using Kyle Clark clips and videos. I'm sure it was a good interview. And from what it sounds like, at least from these clips, he sounds like he gave her at least a little bit honest pushback. As much as we all think Kyle Clark's a fucking Colorado mile-high tard, got to give him credit. He at least pushed back on her DSA memberships and her progressive left, and the fact that is something that is not palatable to young Americans in Colorado. Progressive leftism is a fraction of the population in Colorado. And if you want to captivate moderate and centrists and even slightly left-leaning centrists in Colorado, progressive policies like Senator Gonzalez that she's been flouting and she was co-sponsoring here in her time in Colorado State Senate, that is not the kind of policies that centrist and moderate leftists, that moderate liberals would like to see on a U.S. Senate position seat. Let's keep going, right?
Are you running to get Senator Hickenlooper to listen to progressive voices, or are you running to beat him?
I'm running to be the first woman senator in Colorado's history. Colorado has never elected a woman
She's running
to
on
be
a
the mayor
minority.
of Denver, to
Why?
be the governor of Colorado, or to serve in the U.S. Senate. Those are all three positions that Senator Hickenlooper has enjoyed. I respect his work. And yet, I think that when you give Coloradans a clear choice, that choice is clear. Coloradans demand a fighter and a leader with a proven track record. And I've
First
done
woman
that
of thing.
at the state
Dude,
Capitol.
you took
Are
the
you
words right out of
running
my mouth.
to get Senator Hickenlooper to listen to progressive voices, or are you
Like, we can distill this entire segment down into this one fucking sentence.
running to beat him?
I'm running to be the first woman senator in Colorado's history. Colorado.
Guess what, bitch? No one fucking cares. Gandalf, one more time.
You shall not pass!
this fucking Marxist bitch. I'm running to be the first woman thing. That means jack shit to the people of Colorado who are paying the most in living expenses. Cost of living is through the roof. Homelessness is skyrocketing. Businesses you can't even sustain a business here in Colorado. Every metric in Colorado has been failed over and over again based on these progressive leftist policies. And if this bitch thinks she's just going to get in because she's got a fucking slash between her legs, shut the fuck up. Sorry. Just because she got a gash between her legs don't mean shit. And to be quite honest, I prefer the opposite, because at least men have principle and have value, and they can actually fucking show up and work. This bitch just thinks she gets things because she's got a pair of tits and a gash. Shut the fuck up. Sorry. That was a little brash, but you know what I'm saying. You know what I'm saying, man. I don't need this shit. This she's a fucking joke. And Westward has a whole article too. I was gonna go on it too. This is a fucking goon ass picture here. What the fuck? Like, to be fair, Westward actually does pretty reasonable reporting, pretty reasonable articles. But this is a summary of essentially what we just went over. But Senadora, U.S. Senadora, and she's not asking for party permission. She's running against Hickenlooper on her own accord. Like, people even told her to not run because it's going to divide the vote. I mean, that's kind of how fucking politics works. When the progressive state senator first weighed in running for the U.S. state Senate, when the progressive state senator first weighed in running for the United States Senate, she says fellow Democrats discouraged her. Gonzalez is planning to challenge the incumbent U.S. Senator John Hickenlooper, a Democrat fixture who previously served the U.S. governor, the mayor of Denver, and briefly in the 2020 presidential candidate. Quote, I didn't ask for permission to run for the U.S. Senate, Gonzalez says. There is real frustration in our party against the Democrats seeking to manage primaries from the top instead of trusting our voters. It's time that Coloradans have a clear choice. And to be fair, she's probably gonna make a pretty big splash, and I'm not just saying because she's over 200 fucking pounds, but this bitch is probably gonna make a splash because she has the Democrat Socialists of America, who do have a substantial foothold in Colorado here. But that might be an open door because she's gonna be splitting the vote. I guarantee you she probably won't even back down once the primaries come through. Yeah, maybe she will. I don't know, half and half. But if she doesn't back out post-primary, if she decides to run on her own against Hickenlooper, she gets 5-10% of the Democrat vote. Any GOP candidate who's worth their salt for the U.S. Senate could easily win on a GOP platform because the splitting of the vote. So maybe that is our win. Maybe this progressive angle, the progressive left and the moderate left division that they're running against each other, if we get a solid, sane-minded, conservative-leaning, if we get a solid GOP, conservative-minded candidate running for U.S. Senate, and Senator Gonzalez is running against Hickenlooper, we can easily see a GOP win if she remains in the race into the general election. Let's hope for that. That would be a great way to fucking shoehorn a fucking Republican into the U.S. Senate, because that's the kind of shit we need. Those are the kind of wins that we need to see. All right, let's keep going. We're gonna punch it through here because I always go over a little bit. We got 15 minutes left of this live stream. Let's kick the tires and light the fires, folks. You know what I'm saying. Let's go. Salty Grower, my man in the chat. Appreciate you hanging out for this live stream, my man. But folks, if you're not aware, do you know what the 17 Sustainable Development Goals are? These are the Sustainable Development Goals. 07. Are you an 07 too, my man? Let's go, dude. That is the best year. Just so you know, that is the best year. So we're gonna paint the picture for you, folks. We're gonna paint the picture. Okay. Where was? Is it here? Okay, I have it here. I have it here. All right. We're gonna make a splash. Let's hit it. State regulators move Colorado towards an all-electric heating by 2050 at any cost. At any cost. Colorado officials are making another major push towards electrification of home heating, deep cuts to carbon from natural gas, despite consumer cost concerns and the Trump administration's attempt to revive the U.S. of fossil fuels. Wow, I fucked that up. 07 is a salute. 07 is a salute. I wish you could elaborate, because the only 07 I know is the graduating class of 07. Funny story, I used to chant. You remember the movie 300? You know, Gerard Butler, 300 Spartans, Thermopylae, King Leonidas. So their chant was, oh, 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 right? When they, Spartans, what is your profession? Oh, I see it. I got you now. So yeah. So back in high school, I used to yell to the high school class. I used to go, seniors, what is your profession? And they would go, 007. It's kind of fucking lame, but I thought it was cool. It was fun. Back in the day. I'm an old man now. Yeah. I don't talk too much about high school because we're dealing with this kind of shit. We're dealing with fucking energy and communists. We're dealing with fucking socialists. We're dealing with fucking overt Marxism. We're dealing with all this other shit. Back in the day, man, mid-2000s, early 2000s, man, those were simpler times. Those were sweeter times. I'll tell you what. All right, brother. Graduated in 13. Hey, you know what? You're still cool in my book, my friend. Anybody that graduated, I mean, yeah, I'm just gonna thanks for hanging out. You're one of the young ones. Those are the kind of people we need active in this fucking movement, my man. I appreciate you hanging out with me. We need more people like you. We need more of your generation. The what it was you called elder Gen Z, older Gen Z. I don't know what the fucking. All right, let's get into it, folks. Xcel and other utilities must make 41% cuts to natural gas heating emissions in 10 years and transition fully by 2050. Colorado officials are making another major push towards electrification of homes, heating, and deep cuts into carbon from natural gas, despite consumer cost concerns and the Trump administration's attempt to revive the use of fossil fuels. The Public Utilities Commission on Monday finalized the state clean heat framework requiring Xcel and other utilities supplying natural gas for home and building heating to cut carbon emissions from their systems by 41% in 10 years. Folks, that is dangerous. That is extreme. The retrofitting and the rebuilding out of infrastructure, the amount of cost and reworking of the entire grid, absolutely insane. The utilities are expected to reach 100% decarbonization of building heating by 2050, an ambitious goal celebrated by the environmental and clean energy groups who had pushed for an even faster schedule. To meet the goals, utility regulators and policymakers must help hundreds of thousands of homeowners and landlords in Colorado switch from gas-fired heating systems to electric heat pumps and cooking appliances powered by clean, renewable, and wind technology. All bullshit, folks. It's all part of the Agenda 2030 globalist narrative. It is all funded by the World Economic Forum, by the IEA, by these big international groups beyond countries, beyond governments. They meet in Davos. They meet in all these places around the world. The COP meetings, the COP meetings, COP 30, COP 29. They've had all these meetings over the last 20 fucking years. All these highfalutin people running their private jets, the Soros types, the Bill Gates types, Klaus Schwab, all these people, right? They all come together in these in these rich, hoity-toity, elitist cities, and they tell us how to live our lives. They tell us what we need to do to stop the carbon emissions, to stop climate change. Folks, I'm going to make it simple. I'm going to make it real simple for you. When they talk about removing carbon emissions and they talk about reducing our carbon footprint, folks, we are the carbon that they are trying to reduce. The human race is the carbon that they're trying to eliminate. They are trying to lower the population by restrictive energy policies that are unsustainable, that are dangerous, that do not allow for freedom of mobility and freedom of movement and a free and fair, honest society using modern technology and advancements that we do need to implement. But for them to continuously regulate and control our lives, they are the elitists that want to control us. They are the institutionalized globalists, and we are the carbon that they're trying to reduce. Let's keep, where are we at? I wanted to go, where is it? Did I lose it? This, where is it? This one here, okay? Let's keep reading. I go on a tangent sometimes. That's what I keep telling my viewers, go get active. Dude, honestly, Salty, thank you. That's what we need to do. They all should come hang out with me. Like, I appreciate the raid too, by the way. That was fucking awesome that you did that. Just brought in 2 50-gallon gas water heaters. They can suck it. Yeah, honestly, we should be talking about propane too. We should be talking about other means to heat your house, especially if you're in the mountains, especially up in your high in the mountains. Go get a propane tank. Fill up a propane tank. But we shouldn't. Here's the thing, folks. We shouldn't have to be thinking about propane and kerosene and alternate fuel sources on our own accord, because guess what? If they continue to get their way, they're going to keep coming at us no matter what we do. They're going to still keep coming at us with their fucking globalist climate change agenda 2030 bullshit. Let's keep going. We're excited to see Colorado continue committing to some of the strongest gas utility decarbonization goals in the nation. Colorado Sierra Club senior organizer Sarah Trester said. Sierra Club, Southwest Energy Efficiency Project, and others wanted the PUC to require 55% reduction in natural gas by 2035, while utilities and some state agencies argued for lower targets, Sierra Attorney Club Jim Dennison said. While the commission's approval target of 41% emission, While the commission's approved target of 41% emission reductions by 2035 is not as strong as we recommended, it represents a significant step forward to decarbonizing Colorado's gas utilities and rejects calls to weaken the target that was originally proposed. The PUC's compromise, robust in the eyes of the Environmental Coalition, will help maintain Colorado's leadership in gas utility decarbonization. Power grabs, population reduction, and people need to wake up. 100% correct. That is the agenda, folks. These are the commissioners, folks. And this is another thing. These are the commissioners for the Public Utility Commission. Okay? These are 3 nonpartisan. They're supposed to be nonpartisan. Denver Fail says it best. Denver Fail is a legend here on X. So shout out to Denver Fail. Mr. Oaza. M-R-O Saza. I don't even know how to fucking say that, but just look up Denver Fail. You'll find him, okay? I swear, Colorado is the most corrupt state in the country. The Colorado PUC that wants to take your gas stoves is illegitimate. 2 members are Democrats, and the 3rd is a former Democrat legislator. Tom Plant claims to be an independent, but is a former Democrat state legislator focused on green energy initiatives. The law does not allow this, and Polis is gaming the system by these appointments. The Colorado Public Utilities Commission is governed by state law under CRS 42-101, which requires that no more than 2 of the 3 commissioners be affiliated with the same political party to ensure a measure of balance in decision making. Take note of that, okay? Tom Plant was a Democrat during his 8 years in the State House. Plant changed his registration in 2017 to unaffiliated. Plant was appointed to the PUC in 2023. Colorado law states that there are a maximum of 2 of the 3. Wow. I'm just getting so amped up, I choke on my own fucking words. All right. Let's try that again. Plant was a Democrat during his 8 years in the State House. Plant changed his registration in 2017 to unaffiliated. Plant was then appointed to the Colorado PUC in 2023, and Colorado law states a maximum of 2 of the 3 PUC commissioners can be from the same party. So these 3 here are always, they're working together for their fucking leftist, progressive, global climate change narrative. Their initiative works hand in hand with the United Nations Department of Economic and Social Affairs Sustainable Development, okay? You want to go down a fucking rabbit hole? This is the rabbit hole that everyone should be fucking knowing about, okay? The World Economic Forum's, the United Nations 17 Sustainable Development Goals. Look it up. 17 SDGs, Sustainable Development Goals, okay? And this all is geared around globalism and unifying and this utopian leftist worldview that everything's going to be good and everything's going to be great and everything's going to be wonderful. The only way that they're going to achieve that, folks, is mass depopulation and mass government tyranny. That is it. That is how they do it. Number 1, no poverty. Number 2, zero hunger. 3, good health and well-being. Quality education, gender equality, clean water and sanitation, affordable and clean energy, decent work and economic growth, industry, innovation, and infrastructure, reduced inequalities, sustainable cities and communities, responsible consumption and production, climate action, life below water, life on land, peace, justice, and strong institutions, and partnership for the goals. Folks, all of this is globalist dribble. Globalist totalitarian leftism dribble. They use all of these buzzwords, they use all these fancy ways and fancy statements to make their agenda come to reality. When they talk about affordable and clean energy, ensure access to affordable, reliable, sustainable, and modern energy for all. We'll click on that in a second. Goal number 13, take urgent action to combat climate change and its impacts. Let's take a look here. We're going to open this up because 17 and 13 go directly with the World Economic Forum's IEA roadmap outlining immediate steps oil and gas industries must take to cut emissions. This is from May 2023. This is all years old, folks. This has all been going on for a very long time. They've been pushing this climate change narrative, this Green New Deal bullshit, this globalist environmental solutions to a progressive and modern civilized society. All this is bullshit. This is all a guise for government control, regulations. This is exactly what's happening with the PUC here in Colorado. This is exactly what's happening here with Xcel Energy and how they're skyrocketing prices. I don't know if y'all pay the electric bills or not, but Xcel's Energy this year alone has gone up 10%, and it's going to go up again another 10% in 2026. Are y'all ready for 300 plus monthly electric bills in Colorado? That's the future that we're going to be dealing with when these people get in control, when these people push this kind of agenda. Okay? Let's take a look here. This is talking about green energy, talking about electrification, electric access, global electricity access. Okay? They're trying to pump these numbers up, folks. And all this is all the rainbow butthole badge. I call it the rainbow butthole badge. This UN 17 SDG goals, right? Oh, you don't have to deal with Xcel down there? So because you're not part of the Colorado Springs Metro, you don't have to deal with Xcel? What energy company do you use down there? I thought Xcel was statewide. But yeah, see, so this here, right? This is, I just opened up the same thing. So this I want to. I don't know if I can zoom in. The rainbow. I want to show you the rainbow butthole badge. See this rainbow butthole badge? That's what I call it. This guy right here. That is the symbol of globalism, folks. You see a rainbow butthole badge on anyone that wears it. These politicians wear a little lapel pin of the rainbow butthole badge, and that is a symbol of, hi, I'm a tyrannical globalist who wants to control every aspect of your life, who wants to mutilate and cut children's genitals off, who wants to take all your guns away, who wants to have open borders, who wants to influx the third world into first world nations to completely destroy and break down society from within. That is the rainbow butthole badge agenda. Springs Utilities Co-op. Fucking awesome, dude. Good to know, dude. You're gonna be saving yourself away from this. But let's take a look at this article. This is the article I want to talk about, and we'll be landing the plane here in just a minute, folks. Thank you, everyone in the chat. Thanks for hanging out. This is a fucking awesome stream. Thank you for Liana for hanging out. Appreciate you. A few more minutes, and we're gonna land the plane here. IEA roadmap outlines immediate steps oil and gas industries must take to cut emissions. What a nice picture. Too bad they're outlawing all of it. More than a third of global energy will be generated by renewable capacity by 2025. But energy-related CO2 emissions continue to increase. Oh no. Oh no, what are we going to do? CO2 energies are increasing. I got to zoom out. Is this right? Yes, okay. Tackling methane emissions, eliminating all non-emergency flaring. This is from natural gas. This is one of the things they talk about. They say, oh, the non-emergency flaring, that's what's causing all the emissions, right? It's not your private jets. It's not building out all this ridiculous electric car infrastructure. You understand that when you buy an electric car and you plug into the grid, that grid is being run by coal and natural gas power plants. Oh my gosh. Folks, no wonder. I wonder why that there's. And the thing is I'm not dogging natural gas. Natural gas is a great means, and it's a great way to heat your home. You should be heating your home with natural gas, not with electric heat pumps, especially during the winters here in Colorado. Go fuck off with that. Here, this is exactly it right here. Electrifying upstream facilities with low emission electricity. Alongside greenhouse gas emissions generated by combustion of fossil fuels like oil and natural gas are those generated by the drilling rigs, pumps, and compressors and other equipment that need to extract and process these fuels. The heat and energy need to power upstream processes in the oil and gas industry resulted in more than 700 metric tons of CO2, according to the IEA report. Electrifying many of these operations could half this measure. Much of the electricity needed to power the industry's upstream operation relies on small-scale on-site natural gas generators, which use relatively inefficient open-cycle turbines. So they're talking about electrifying every aspect of the industry power grid. Equipping oil and gas process with carbon capture, utilizing storage, expanding the uses of low-emission hydrogen refineries. So, folks, when I talk about modernizing our electric grid, when I'm speaking so vocally against these individuals who want to restrict and limit how we heat our homes and the type of appliances that we use in our house, when they start restricting and limiting what we can do, I am not suggesting that modernization and new technology is a bad thing. I think it's a good thing. I think we need to have smart industry that advances, and I'm talking about nuclear power. I'm talking about small-scale nuclear power. I think small-scale nuclear power is the missing link when it comes to a new generation of energy production. We can work hand in hand and still use natural gas to heat our homes because that's the most efficient way to do it. 99% efficiency when you're using a furnace that uses natural gas. Your stovetop using natural gas to cook, very efficient. But when we're talking about pumping electric down the power lines, completely rebuilding our infrastructure, our power grid to pump transmission lines of electric energy to facilitate a fully electric heating unit inside your home or a fully electric appliance network inside your house, imagine that power draw of a pure electric grid. And then what happens when it goes down? What happens when they shut it down? What happens? Here's one for you. What happens when they enact a social credit score? What happens when they enact a real ID digital track, trace, and database smart grid that will monitor every action you do, whether it's in real life or on the internet, whether it's through social media, what have you, and then you start getting doxxed, you start getting dinged, and your social credit score goes down, and that directly affects how much heat or how much electric credit units you have to use that month. So in the month of December, you might run out of electric tokens, or I'm postulating. I'm thinking down the road, folks, because this ain't far down the road, because it's already happening in the UK. They're enacting real IDs, and they're enacting track, trace, and database networks in the United Kingdom and in the European nations. And China already has a social credit score completely set up. We're one of the last places for public privacy, for private property, for private surveillance. Like, I don't need your surveillance state on my ass. But if they enact this kind of stuff, and then they integrate that with a fully electric energy grid, what's to say a government that wants to sow dissent, or a government that labels a domestic terrorist group, right? Anyone who believes the election was stolen, right? Any of these people that spread dangerous conspiracy theories. If you spread a dangerous conspiracy theory online, you're going to lose your electric credits for the month, or for the, you know what I'm saying? And then you got rolling brownouts. Then the government could just turn off your electric with the smart grid that's already installed, with the electric system that's already applied in your house. You won't have heat because you question the government. That is the next step. That is the final agenda. That is part of their globalist utopia, because that is how they want to control us. Every aspect of our lives, they want to control us, and controlling the energy system, controlling the energy infrastructure is their mechanism of doing that. Folks, we did it. We made it through. We made it through the live stream. I think on X. Reach out to me at any of my social media platforms, or you can follow Realm Walker Hot Sauce to get yourself a bottle of Realm Walker Hot Sauce. Travel the 9 realms of Norse mythology through hot sauce. Great Christmas gifts from mild to extreme heat. I'm talking super hot scorpion peppers. I'm also talking about nice mild jalapeno tomatillo, really good flavors. All these things. If you want to grab a bottle, Colorado made hot sauce, that is the hot sauce for you. And we're going to check one last time here in the live stream. I see Salty Grower. Thank you for hanging out. Seth Sparky. The ironic thing is, if CO2 is actually heating up the planet, we should be adding as much as possible before the grand solar minimum begins. You got a good point there, Bucko. You do got a good point, because that's a whole nother thing, man. I'm going to be hitting a live stream on Earth changes, geomagnetic storms, solar activity. There's a lot of solar weather news that we need to touch base on. I know my dad follows a lot with the volcanoes and earthquake, seismic activities. A lot of stuff's happening on the back burners that we're not too aware of, and we don't want to lose sight on what's happening in politics in the immediate, because politics directly affect our life every day. However, let's just say a super volcano goes off, or we have a 10.0 earthquake on the eastern coast or the west coast, wherever it is, right? Some catastrophic event, and we're not prepared for it. We're not aware of it. We get an X flare, solar flare, a CME, something dangerous that can maybe, yeah, Seth, you're hitting it right on the head, my man. All of the infrastructure, all of the utilities, all of this energy power grid that we're establishing and building out means absolutely shit fuck nothing if we get hit by an X-class solar flare that completely throws us back to the Stone Age, and we don't have any technology, and there ain't no more live streams, and there ain't no more furnace and heat pumps, and there ain't no more nothing, because there ain't no more electric grid, because it all got fried from a solar mass ejection, right? Maybe that's what we actually should be looking for. But yeah, we can go on that on another live stream. Folks, we are going to be jumping over to another stream. Who should we be rating, folks? Who is on the docket for me to be jumping into a live stream? Who am I rating? I know I can always go to the Beanie Compound. That's always a thing. But is there anyone else that is on live at the moment that I could like a smaller channel that I could raid? Maybe help a brother out. Trying to see if there's any other live streams that are doing some of this kind of stuff. Watch party. Badlands. Is Badlands going? Yeah, let's go. Let's if Badlands is running, Badlands. We'll raid Badlands. We'll raid Badlands because they are another awesome Rumble channel that I highly recommend anyone should check out. Badlands Media. Hold on. Let's go. Let me. Yeah, there it is. All right. So we're gonna be live streaming. We're gonna be rating the Badlands Media. Folks, I appreciate you all hanging out with me on Break the Chains Media's Tyranny Response Tuesday. We'll see you next time. Keep a lookout for those shorter segment clips on my YouTube channel, on my Rumble channel, and on X. Folks, I love you. I appreciate you. And as always, fight for freedom and never give up.